my friend walks in and like, we're just like stuffed like everywhere. Everyone's just stuffed. She's like, your house smells so good. Like I always know to come hungry to your house because like you make the best food. And I like started tearing up. I was like, that is like the best thing to hear. And like, we just like had dinner. I have a disco ball. So I put it on. There's like, I think one person had a beer, but like we were basically all sober. I put my disco ball on and we just sat down and like talked about quantum physics and like the meaning of life and the universe. And I was like, guys, it's like kind of like a trip. Just like watch the light on the wall. Like just like having really fun conversations that are like wholesome and stimulating. And like, these are just people I love sharing my life with.
Welcome to a very special edition of the Seven Figure Leap podcast. Once again, I want to give you a behind the scenes look at the transformation that occurs when you're in a really powerful, well-curated, and well-run mastermind. So this is an actual clip from one of our recent meetings in the Seven Figure Leap mastermind community. And I'm going to walk you through what you're going to hear. But before I do that, I just want to give context to how this came to be. So you're going to hear these two individuals talking, Cassie and Mitch. And Cassie actually came to this session seeking hot seat time. So basically, a spotlight session, helping her to craft a scalable offer. But what organically ended up happening is what we typically call a genius session. So we do these genius sessions where one member of the mastermind works with another member of the mastermind one-on-one in their unique ability. And we basically get to watch, right? So we get to a deep understanding of the transformation they provide, how they work. We can give feedback afterward about where it impacted us or where we were left a little unclear. So it basically is like live one-on-one consulting with the other members, like benefiting from that and be able to give feedback to it. So in this case, Mitch basically stepped in and did a genius session cold, even though that wasn't actually on the agenda. And so I think that's really important because how this unfolded, I think is really magical. I think it was a bit divine, honestly, and it was amazing to witness. So whenever this clip starts, what you're going to open with is me. Mitch actually joined our call late. And so I was giving him up to speed on, hey, here's what Cassie's needing help with today. And then he dove in using his amazing coaching abilities and really didn't talk about her offer so much as broke through some extreme limiting beliefs, rewired her mindset, and unlocked her. And I can tell you that several weeks down the road from this session, she has completely scaled her business, has complete clarity on where she's going. And the magic of this 18-minute clip is really remarkable from my seat and be able to see the before, during, and after. But I think you're going to hear this, and I hope you come away with just the depth of transformation that can happen when you have the right setting, the right level of vulnerability. And I'm just extremely grateful for Cassie and Mitch allowing me to share this on our podcast. So with that said, you're going to hear me give the introduction. You're going to hear Mitch and Cassie pretty much exclusively go back and forth, with the exception of some of us, sobbing on the call. So please enjoy this, and then I will see you on the other side with some next steps.
You're listening to the Seven Figure Leap podcast. We're here to leverage rich relationships and smart strategies to take your business to the next level. Here's your host, Dustin Riekman.
So we're in a small group, but Cassie's in the hot seat, talking about effectively what you just heard Jordan describe, kind of like having it all, and the idea of like what, with her IP and her talents and skills and genius, what does the multiple seven-figure business look like? Because she's now really committed to this year building a seven-figure business. So that kind of gets you up to speed on where we're at.
And the fear, concern is that you might not have a life if you do that?
I think the biggest fear and concern is just, and why I haven't been committed to this in the last 4 years is like, I left my life 4 years ago when I started this business. I was married. Maybe you guys don't know that. And I like liquidated my whole life, moved to London, started a business. It was February 2020. And
this is while you're married?
No, I like my husband asked me for a divorce during my 2 weeks notice from my corporate role because he didn't believe that I could have a business.
Got it. So, okay. So it was work related. You feel that it was work related that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's important. That's what your brain. Yeah.
Ended. Like it was, that relationship was not healthy.
Yes.
But
But it ended with a work change in entrepreneurship. Yeah.
So, and then the craziest part was like, I had my 2 weeks notice for my executive role, and my boss and the other co-owner of the company flew out from Minnesota the day I resigned. They like gathered in LA, like on a dime, to like beg me to stay, and like were in tears, crying, asking me to stay in my role.
Wow.
And my husband was just like, all right, I'm just like, we should get a divorce and I'm going to send you an invoice for everything you owe me. And like, he sent me an Excel spreadsheet that day and was just like, here's what you owe me to liquidate our assets. So
I mean to laugh. I hope that didn't come across.
No, you've never heard that.
Like, it's so ridiculous that would happen.
Gosh.
I'm like, wow.
Like, I literally had to leave the table because my boss, like, who didn't like me, we like were frenemies. It was the weirdest work relationship ever. He like loved me and didn't like me. He was jealous of me. He literally would like pull me aside on walks and be like, I can't stand how much everyone likes you and they don't like me. I'm like, I'm trying to help you, bro. Like, I'm literally just here to help you. Like, we are on the same team. Anyway, and he was like in tears. Like, I stepped away from the table to like give him a minute to recompose. So it was like it's like 2 divorces in 1 week, in 2 weeks. My business divorce and then my divorce. So yeah, there's still this like visceral fear in me of like,
Wow.
This is the cost. And part of me didn't even want to leave that job. It was complicated. I felt like I had to, because it was like a potential lawsuit. And I didn't feel like the CEO and I were like, as a team, handling it. And he wasn't taking my HR recommendation seriously. So there's like a lot of reasons why I left. But part of it was like, I saw this vision for myself. And it's like, I saw this vision of like what I wanted to become, and I was like willing to go all in on it. And it actually really did cost me everything. And yeah, so that was 4 years ago. So then
can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm. It's like more vulnerable than I was expecting to be.
Yeah, this is the real stuff.
I'm glad Mitch popped in at this
Me
moment.
too.
All radical transformation begins with vulnerability. This is the only way you create a 10x business. Is by really addressing the suffering that we experience, because it's from a suffering state, even if it's at an unconscious level, you cannot create powerfully. But from a powerful state, you can do nothing but create powerfully. And so this is the real stuff. One of the things that I'm hearing you say is that choosing entrepreneurship cost you everything. Cost you a divorce and a business divorce. One of the things that I found is that 100% of the time, the thoughts that create suffering, the beliefs that create suffering in our life are flat out lies. They're just untrue. So you could just try this on, see if it fits for you. Is it true that entrepreneurship cost you everything?
No.
What else could be true? Some form of the opposite must be true if that's not true.
I chose myself. And I got the freedom that I really wanted and needed in life. And I went, and I've still gone all in on so many of my dreams. I moved to London instantly. I started my business, I moved to London. That was my first consulting job. Which was my big dream, was to move abroad. And I did it by myself. I just up and moved. I got out of 2 relationships that were incredibly toxic. My actual marriage and that boss. It was a very emotionally draining, toxic relationship, both of them. I lost 60 pounds in 2020. No, 50 pounds. But yeah, I was so unhealthy, and literally leaving those 2 situations, I dropped 20 pounds in the first month because I was just so relieved that I just got super healthy. And I finished my book, even though that's not a big part of my business life now. I finished a manuscript and I finished a whole book that year. So my creativity took off, my health took off. I did my big dreams. I had so much fun. I took 6 months off. I just lived on my savings and took 6 months off to just heal and work out and cry and hang out. taught myself Italian. Like there's just like a lot of good things. But yeah, I got the freedom. I think what like still irks me is like I didn't make all the money, but like I got the freedom and I like expanded tremendously as a person. Like I would not be who I am today without those experiences, for sure.
Tell me about the relationships that you now have. You described the 2 relationships that you left as toxic. How would you describe the relationships you have now in your life?
I think the biggest shift is that I'm not looking for that one relationship to fit all my needs. Like I'm so excited about who I'm dating. So Ari, my boyfriend, he's a psychologist. He's super grounded. We're spiritually aligned. He's warm and funny. We have amazing conversations. He's so present. We have really good boundaries. Like we talk about our boundaries. I've never been like more vulnerable and honest than in that relationship. So there's just like a quality of meanness that I feel like I bring to that. That's never been the case. But beyond that one relationship, like my relationship with my parents is more honest than it's ever been, even when it's hard. I have a community of people, like literally this call and like our mastermind, who challenge me and inspire me and mentor me and share life with me in a way that I could never have imagined. And I've really prioritized. I have so many friends that I keep in touch with that don't live in town. That's sometimes really draining, but I've also prioritized in the last year, especially making good friends in town. And so I had my friends over a couple weeks ago, and one of them walks in. She's like, "Oh my gosh, your house smells so good." Like I have a tiny house. It's like 600 square feet. And like my dream is a big table with like 12 seats, like which will come. But my friend walks in and like, we're just like stuffed like everywhere. Everyone's just stuffed. She's like, "Your house smells so good. Like I always know to come hungry to your house because like you make the best food." And I like started tearing up. I was like, that is like the best thing to hear. And like, we just like had dinner. I have a disco ball. So I put it on. There's like, I think one person had a beer, but like we were basically all sober. I put my disco ball on and we just sat down and like talked about quantum physics and like the meaning of life and the universe. And I was like, guys, it's like kind of like a trip. Just like watch the light on the wall. Like just like having really fun conversations that are like wholesome and stimulating. And like, these are just people I love sharing my life with. And I have a great, rich spiritual community. So yeah, I have absolutely 10x'd my relationships. And there's not just one source that feeds me. It's like,
okay. So can I just share a few things back to you that I'm hearing? That you have believed that entrepreneurship cost you everything. All the things in your life that were important were gone. And you know here that wasn't true, but your heart was believing it, and what we believe creates our reality, our emotional experience creates our reality. And we acknowledge that it was a flat out lie. And that some form of the opposite must be true. And I want to invite you, I'm going to share back what you shared with me, and I want to invite you to tell me after what is true in a single sentence. What is true? Okay. What I'm hearing is that you chose yourself. You gained yourself. Instead of costing everything, you gained yourself. You got the freedom you really wanted and needed. You moved to London. You started fulfilling your dreams. You got out of 2 relationships that were toxic. You lost 50 pounds out of relief. You finished your book. You had so much fun. You took 6 months off to heal, to learn a language, and to work out. You got the freedom. You now don't look for one relationship to fulfill your needs. In the relationship that you have, you're aligned. He's so present. You have good boundaries. You're vulnerable and honest. There's a quality of meanness that I've never had before. Your relationship with your parents is more honest, even when it's hard. You have a community of people who challenge, inspire you, and mentor you in a way you could have never imagined. You have so many friends in and out of town. People come to your home hungry because they know that you'll make them the best food. You spend your time sober with friends talking about the meaning of the universe. It's wholesome and stimulating, and you have a great, rich spiritual community. because of a choice to choose entrepreneurship? What is true for you?
Entrepreneurship gave me everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Where Mitch makes the big bucks. It made me cry.
Yeah. I'm like shaking in my body. Like I haven't realized how much I was holding that. I mean, that's also why I do love what I get to do. Like, I love what I get to do. And like Dustin's been on these calls where like even in the last year where it's just like, I can't do it. Like, I don't want to do it. And like, but I do love what I get to do. Like, I love it. I feel like so energized. But I did not know like what fear and suffering I was holding. I'm literally like shaking. It's a big release. Thank you.
And entrepreneurship gave us you.
Stop making me cry.
True though, like
It's a really big
there's
deal.
no way I would have 10x my business without you, Cassie. And so the things you experienced starting, I'm sure before and in 2020, I mean, we wouldn't be having this call. Like I'm getting a lot of relief and inspiration myself from hearing Mitch talk to you. And yeah, this like literally couldn't have happened if you wouldn't have made those choices. So because this group wouldn't exist without you either. So that logo wouldn't have existed without you either. And this whole thing. So it's pretty amazing to think back at the virtuous ripple effect that came out of your choice of entrepreneurship.
And Cassie has already made a huge impact in my life. Like, I feel like we have been working together for 6 months at least. I think we have jammed 6 months of life. I think it's actually only been like 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane to me. Like, my life has radically changed in the last 6 weeks. And you are a large part of why that is. Like, you are my most favorite coach that I have ever worked with. Like, it is so energizing and such a joy. And knowing that I have you in my back pocket and can just like talk to you and get a response very quickly and very high quality. Sometimes I'm like even nervous about what I'm saying to you because I'm like, you're going to either like scold me or just like, I don't know. And it's always this really, it's like higher perspective, higher vibration, like response that I can feel has like love and empathy and wisdom. And yeah, like when you gave me the feedback about my video, it was so well received and I could just take action on it. And when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh, that video was so shit. But you were so kind and like you didn't make me feel bad in any way. And so you also just give me so much confidence and so much energy and so much like this is going to happen. It has already happened in the future. We're just waiting for time to catch up. So yeah, I could go on, but you're just having massive impact.
Can I invite you to write 2 things down?
Yes.
Entrepreneurship gave me everything.
Okay.
And entrepreneurship gave everyone me.
I can't stop crying. I'm probably just going to cry for the next hour. It's going to be great. Thank you. Like, I'm really hearing and receiving it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to this process that that I intentionally created here that you experienced, which was an actual rewiring of your brain. And so moving forward, like this isn't something that you have to experience anymore. This is true change. There's a transformation happens in a single moment. And it's the moment you see your previous thinking as unintelligent thinking, as a flat out lie, and you believe what's true. And you have a ridiculous amount of evidence that your brain is now just referenced to support what was always true. And so now next time you feel like a fear that comes up, or even in the space that you'd feel like entrepreneurship might steal my life, you think, oh, that's so silly. That's so ridiculous. Entrepreneurship is the very thing that gave me everything and gave everyone else me.
Mm.
And so you don't have to suffer anymore in this way. Like it's actually like you can look at the calendar, you can write it on the calendar, you can look at the time and know that today, like your life is literally forever changed because you truly rewired a core belief that you didn't know you had that was creating suffering. And from a suffering state, it's impossible to create powerfully, which is really exciting because look at all the things that you've created and the impact that you've had while still suffering unconsciously about some of the hardest things you've been through in your life. And one of the most beautiful things that can happen is to now, you can't change the past, but you can change the meaning you assign to your past, to see that the worst things that ever happened to you as the best things that ever happened to you. And that's what we just experienced. And so from a powerful state, you can do nothing but create powerfully. And so a 10x leap is now officially on its way because it's impossible to create powerfully, or it's the only thing you can do is create powerfully from a powerful state. So you get to just move with no fear now about what entrepreneurship could do to your life because it's actually the gift. Then you can go pour into your business in a way that creates more meaning, more love, more time, more impact, and more freedom to the freedom, love, impact, and time you already have.
All right. Well, welcome back. I'm sure you would agree there was some real magic in that interaction, that experience. And so a couple of follow-up items here. If you would like to communicate with Mitch Whiting, he has made himself available. If people are interested in this level of transformation, this is the type of coaching that Mitch specializes in. And so you can find him at mitchwhiting.com. He's also very active on LinkedIn if you're active there. And Whiting is just WHITING. So mitchwhiting.com. Cassie's amazing. You can also find Cassie over on LinkedIn. They are both graduates of my Podcast Profits Accelerator program, which has given them a lot of clarity and helped them grow their business through the marketing and messaging side of the world. After completing that program, they both chose to continue on in our 7-Figure Leap Mastermind. So what you actually heard there was a clip from one of our weekly 7-Figure Leap Mastermind calls, where we don't always go that deep, but we definitely specialize in giving people insights, breakthrough, emotional support on this wild ride of entrepreneurship, as well as smart strategies and rich relationships. So really a lot of the things we talk about on this podcast, some of our previous guests, really tied directly into that mastermind experience. So if this is something you would love to have, a community, a tribe, people you can really trust, the best next step is to have a call with us, and we can talk about whether your journey should start in the Podcast Profits Accelerator. That's where almost all of our people start, or perhaps there's actually an ability to let you into the 7-Figure Leap Mastermind directly. That would require, a really in-depth conversation about your goals and what we do, and just make sure there's full alignment. Because as you can tell, we get pretty deep, and I'm very protective of this environment. So again, huge thank you, especially to Cassie, super vulnerable. And she said, yes, I think it will help your listeners. You can release this as a podcast episode. She has no benefit of that. She only really has the vulnerability of hearing this transformation that she encountered. And again, what's followed from this is extremely powerful. I'll have to have her on a future episode and talk about the ramifications and repercussions so positive that came from this seemingly simple 15-20 minute discussion inside our mastermind group. So with that said, if you would love to learn more about this experience or our accelerator program, please go to 7figureleap.com/call. You'll be able to book a call right on our calendar and just have an open discussion. Very low pressure. We're as much about making sure you're a good fit for us as we are for you, to be quite frank. But for the right people, this can be an absolutely life-changing experience. And I would love to have a chat with you to see if this is a good fit for you. So 7figureleap.com/call, and we'll be in touch. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next episode of this podcast.